Hello guys, welcome to Fanfic Dojo. We are back with our new fanfic, which is what if Naruto was placed in harem to rebuild Uzumaki clan part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and please subscribe to the channel. It motivates me to upload more fanfic like these for you all. Now let's start the fanfic. It was October 10th, 6 years after the Kyuubi attack. The entirety of Konoha was filled with the cheers and celebrations to the death of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. The bars were filled to the brim with celebrating shinobi. The festival was brimming with joy. It appeared as if everyone was having a good time, appeared as the key word. On the other side of town, a young child, blonde-haired and with beautiful cerulean blue eyes, as sitting alone in his run-down apartment complex. His name was Naruto Uzumaki, the container of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. He was an orphan, he had no friends, and he never knew love. He had been sitting in the apartment since morning. His Gigi had told him that he was to remain in his apartment on this day, his own birthday. It was funny really, the day that was supposed to be the best in the year, was actually the worst. Naruto would get constant beatings, and on his birthdays they were the worst. Last year he had gone to the festival and was attacked by a group of drunks. He had been cornered in an alley and beaten near death. When he awoke he found himself in the hospital, again. He had been literally thrown out the next day, only to return the day after with an even worse condition. After that his Gigi told him that he was to stay inside on his birthdays, and so here he was, alone, waiting for his Gigi to unlock the door the next day. Naruto decided to go to the kitchen and check on his project. He got up and quickly went to the kitchen where his project was. Sitting right there was probably the most beautiful plant anyone had ever seen. It had beautiful leaves that had a perfect texture. The flowers drooped in the morning, but at night they stood up to show a beautiful blue flower. It was probably the rarest and most difficult flower to grow in all of Fire Country. It was called a tenshiren, or angel's orchid. It was so difficult to grow that no one was able to tell if the legends about it were true. It is said that when the orchid reaches the end of its first pollination cycle, the stems release nectar that is said to cure all poisons. It was also said that the orchid could regrow a destroyed limb in under a few hours. Some even said that it had such a high water content that it was incapable of being burned. Naruto had gotten a seedling when he was on a trip with his Gigi to the fire daimyo. He remembered that day so well that he could see it every time he closed his eyes. Flashback. The Sandaime had gone to the fire daimyo to secure a meeting with the newest daimyo of Hai no Kuni. Since he was too afraid to leave Naruto in Konoha without his protection, he decided to bring him with him. When they arrived, Naruto was quivering. Over the years he had been abused so badly that he became extremely wary of other people, fearing they would hurt him. Naruto had lost many a chance to make friends because of it. The daimyo personally met Sarutobi at the gates with a young girl. She was about a year or so older than Naruto. She was introduced as the daimyo's daughter. Naruto quickly hid behind his Gigi's legs. The girl saw this and walked over to him. "Hi, what's your name?" Naruto looked at the girl with a quivering expression. Naruto, Uzumaki." He edged away as she got a little closer. "Naruto." She seemed to go into thought before she shouted with glee, "That's a nice name." She smiled at the blonde and grabbed his hand. "Hey, come play with me." She dragged Naruto from behind the Hokage and went off to the nearby koi pond. The daimyo chuckled at his daughter's actions. "Well, Sarutobi, it seems that my daughter likes the boy. How about we hold off on negotiations and go check out the little ones?" Sarutobi smiled at the daimyo. "I guess so, Sora. After all, how often do we get a chance like this?" He pulled out a camera as the two walked over to the two kids. Naruto was twiddling his feet as the daimyo's daughter dragged him over to the koi pond. She had long black hair, lovely golden eyes with a single black slit. Naruto was scared by her eyes. She dragged him over to the koi pond and she sat down, dragging Naruto with her. The two spent most of the day together, just sitting by the koi pond. Naruto slowly got closer and closer to her. When he got close enough that the two could hold hands, he actually smiled. It was the first real smile he had in a long time. But his mood dropped when he saw that it was getting dark out. The girl saw this and asked him, "What's wrong, Naruto?" Naruto let a sad sigh out and spoke. "After today I probably won't ever say you again. You're the first friend I ever had. I don't want to lose that." The girl smiled sadly and tugged into her pocket. She pulled out a small bag and gave it to Naruto. "This is the rarest flower in all of High no Kuni. I want you to grow it, Naruto, and I promise that one day I will come to Konoha and marry you." Naruto's eyes widened at that proclamation. Marry him? He smiled a goofy grin and yelled out, "I promise you, I will grow this plant no matter how hard it is to grow. I will not rest until it is the most beautiful flower in all of High no Kuni, Dad Bayo." The girl smiled and gave him a peck on the cheek. Not being able to take that much in one day, he fainted. End flashback. Since that day he had spent every day of every hour nurturing the plant into what it is now. For some reason he was great with plants. One time he managed to bring a tree that was near death back to life just by watering and weeding it. Sure, he spent a bit of time talking to the tree, not that it could answer. But he always felt he needed to speak to every plant he saw. He never understood why. Naruto was about to water the plant with some special mineral water when he heard banging at the door. He was about to go and see if it was his Gigi when he heard it crash open and he heard angry shouts, "Where's the demon? Find it, this is the night it dies." Naruto was terrified and quickly grabbed the plant. He ran to the other side of the room and opened a special hat he had spent a month working on. He quickly opened the door and then shut it behind him before jumping down the chute. He made sure his flower did not get hit on the walls as he shot out of the chute into the street. He tumbled in a way that he would take most of the blow while the Tenshinhan would not get hurt. He quickly got up and was about to head for the Hokage Tower when, "It's the demon, get it." Naruto turned to see a shinobi being flanked by about a dozen civilians running at him. He quickly tucked tail and ran as fast as he could. He ran into an alley and hid behind a trash can. He watched as the mob passed by and breathed a sigh of relief. He got up, but he was knocked down when he felt a crushing blow delivered to his chest. He skidded and hit the end of the alley. He looked up and saw that the alley went a different route. He got up and was about to run when he saw another angry mob at the other end of the alley. He began to cower in fear as a couple Junin closed in on him. "Time to die, demon." One of them pulled out a flame-bladed sai and stabbed Naruto in the arm. Naruto squealed in pain as he dropped to the ground, but held a tight grip on his flower. The shinobi and civilians kept on beating him, but when they saw that he was ignoring the blows, paying close attention to the flower in his arms, they decided to take a different approach. "So, that little plant is important to you, huh? Well, let's see how you like us burning it." The shinobi grabbed the flower and tried to pry it from his arms. Naruto held onto it tightly as the shinobi tugged harder. "Let go of the plant, demon." Naruto only held tighter as the shinobi tried to pry it from his arms. "No, leave me alone, leave me alone." Naruto screamed, "Leave me alone." As he screamed, a massive output of chakra was felt as the shinobi was knocked away from Naruto. The shinobi pulled out a katana. "That's it, you shit. Die." He ran at Naruto and was about to stab him in the heart, when the sword suddenly stopped. The shinobi was shocked and felt a pressure around his limbs. He looked down and was shocked to see a vine wrapped around his arm. He looked down and found that it was keeping him from attacking the blonde. The civilians screamed, "The demon's breaking free, kill it." The civilians charged only to be stopped by hundreds of vines grabbing their limbs and hanging them off the ground. The shinobi saw this and were shocked to the core. That's the bloodline of the Shodaime, the one that allowed him to control demons, but how can? Oh my god, what have we done? Realization passed through the shinobi as they realized that only a human could command the Mokuden. but one shinobi clearly was an idiot. How dare you use the Shodime's bloodline, you demon? He ran through some hand seals, cage shuriken no jutsu. A single shuriken he threw became hundreds as they shot at the blonde, not caring that many civilians would die because of it. The civilians watched as the shuriken came towards them. They closed their eyes and waited for the inevitable. Naruto saw the shuriken coming and began thinking a mile a minute. What do I do? They may hate me, but I don't want them to die. Someone please help them. As if the vines were listening, they dropped the civilians and began shifting and turning into sheets. The sheets folded like paper and shot towards the shuriken. The shuriken stopped as each piece sliced the shuriken in half. The civilians watched as the shuriken fell to the ground as the sheets unfolded. They were paper. The paper went straight towards Naruto and began dissipating into raw chakra. As the chakra entered the body, Naruto collapsed. The shinobi ran towards the blonde as the one that threw the shuriken was restrained. The civilians looked at Naruto, confused and afraid. Why would the demon save them? The shinobi were mentally hitting themselves for being so stupid. The one who led the mob grabbed Naruto as carefully as he could. He was amazed that the blonde was holding so tightly on the plant. It must have meant a lot to the blonde. The shinobi quickly turned around and ran to the hospital, saying that the damage he did was not life-threatening. The next day, council chambers. When Sarutobi had heard of Naruto's condition, he was outraged. But he was happy that Naruto finally unlocked the Mokuden. Now the villagers could not say he was Kyuubi. When he told the council, he was hoping for good reactions. However, this is not what he expected. The council demanded to know how it was that the demon brat had the Mokuden of the Shodime. Finally Sarutobi had enough. Shut up. Now before all of you start going crazy, I will say this once and for all. I do not know how Naruto has the Mokuden. However, since he has the Mokuden, it must mean he's a descendant of the Shodime. The council erupted in conversation again. Sandaime-sama, if he is in fact a descendant of the Shodime, why is it he has not shown his ability in the Mokuden until now? The Sandaime glared at the councilman. Because the Mokuden, unlike other Kekkei Genkei, does not activate until the holder of the bloodline reaches a certain age. Even then they have to be in a life-threatening position to activate it. The Shinobi Council looked down. They knew that Naruto was merely a scroll and Kyuubi the kunai. It disgusted them that Naruto was treated worse than the most despicable of criminals. A member of the Shinobi Council spoke up. It was the head of the Med Nin Division, Hokage-sama. With all due respect, I would like to do a blood test to see how closely Naruto is related to the Shodime. Perhaps we can find his parents. The Sandaime cringed. Minato was dead, and there had been no sign of Kushina since after the attack. He had sent Anbu to look for her to find absolutely nothing. A member of the clan committee spoke up. Sandaime-sama, if Naruto has the Mokuden, then that means he is the heir of the Senju family. If that is the case, we must contact Tsunade. If we cannot locate his parents, then she should be able to raise him. The Sandaime went into thought. He had been trying for years to get a reason for Tsunade to come back. Maybe the chance of meeting family would be enough to bring her back. I agree. The Hokage flicked his wrist as an Anbu appeared. Have someone locate Tsunade. Tell her we found a relative of hers. The Anbu did a quick bow and left. Sarutobi was about to address the council when Fugaku spoke up. Hokage-sama, what of the regards to the boy's future? If he is indeed a member of the Senju family, then I humbly request that he be betrothed to a member of my clan. The Senju and Uchiha were rivals, and the chance for an alliance will be most beneficial to the future of our clans. Fugaku was interrupted by Hiashi, who did a quick glare at the Uchiha clan head. Fugaku, you only wish to increase the strength of your clan. Besides, I feel it would be more beneficial if he were to marry my firstborn. So far she shows no signs of becoming a true clan head. And I have seen how she takes glances at the boy. As such, I wish to arrange a marriage between the two. The council continued in uproar until Danzo shouted. Why not give him to me? I can make him the most powerful shinobi in Konoha. With his skills in Mokuden, and whatever that paper technique is, along with the Kyuubi's chakra, we could train him to surpass even the greatest of shinobi. None would ever dare oppose our power. The civilians at first agreed with Danzo, until Sum snapped at the war hawk. Danzo, you old fool. Do you honestly think we will let you take care of the pup after what we found in your Nei headquarters, or have you forgotten why we shut down your little group? Danzo sneered at the woman as he sat down. Sarutobi sighed in frustration. He finally made his decision. I will allow the medical corps to take a blood sample and attempt to find his parentage. Once Tsunade returns, we may be able to find some more information on the subject. As for the marriage contracts, come to my office later and we will discuss that matter. Sarutobi got up and was about to call the meeting to an end when an Anbu appeared in the room. Sandaime-sama, Naruto is gone. The council looked at the Anbu as if he had grown a second head. What? The Anbu cowered in fear as he reached into his pocket and pulled out a note. This is all I found, my lord. The Sandaime took the letter and read it. Dear Gigi, I am leaving Konoha for a while. If I can't even be safe in my own apartment on my birthday, then I can't stay here until I am strong enough to defend myself. I will return in time to take the final year of the Genin exams. Yours truly, Naruto Uzumaki. Sarutobi sighed as he read the letter. It seems Naruto has left the village. He will return for the final year of the Genin exams. The civilians screamed in outrage. How can you be so casual about the last known heir of the Senju clan that possessed the Mokuden has left the village, at the possibility of dying. Taking the Mokuden with him. The Sandaime glared at the civilians. You did not care for him until after he got his bloodline, and since Naruto does not possess the Senju name, he is not under the jurisdiction of the clan committee. Also, since the Mokuden only occurred in the Shodaime, we have not registered it as a Konoha bloodline, thus we can do nothing about it. The head of the civilian council screamed in outrage, her pink hair flopping everywhere. He is a relation of the Senju clan, we cannot risk their extinction. I move for a vote that we send our hunter nin squads out and capture him. So you would have Naruto be a father to children of women who he will never even know. I will not allow any of you to do that to him. He will choose who he wishes to marry, and there is not a single thing any of you can say to change my mind. The head of the clan committee spoke up. But Sandaime-sama, you realize that Naruto falls under the Clan Restoration Act. As such, whether he likes it or not, he will have to impregnate multiple women to build up his clan. Sarutobi sighed as he remembered that law. The only one who managed to avoid that law was Minato, and that was because Kushina was so damn dangerous that no one wanted to mess with her. I understand, we will discuss this further. Those who wish to propose marriage contracts, please come to my office later. Dismissed. The council members left the room. Several went to the Sandaime's office, including the heads of the Hyuga, Uchiha, Kurama, and other clans. Others like Shina Haruno got their hired Anbu units and ordered them to locate Naruto Uzumaki at once. Meanwhile, Naruto was leaving the forest surrounding Konoha's walls. He had escaped about 3 hours ago and had avoided being spotted by the local shinobi. He quickly took out a map that the Sandaime gave him and looked through it. Alright, so I am here, he pointed at a point on the map, and Konoha is here, he pointed another place. So far I have several options. I could head to Suna, Nami, or any other countries, but which one? Naruto crossed his legs and looked at the map. Suna is too far from here, so it will take a long time for me to get there. And I don't have the supplies to get there either. Nami seems to be the best bet. I can stock up and head to Suna afterwards. And with that decision, Naruto got his bag and carefully opened it. In it was a specially made box. He opened it to see the Tenshinhan in it. After he had tended to the plant, he packed up and headed towards Nami no Kuni, unaware that he was being followed. The mercenary Anbu unit was in the trees of Konoha's forests, trying to locate the last known carrier of the Senju bloodline limit. The Anbu unit had been tasked by Shina Haruno, head of the civilian council, to locate and restrain him. He would then be locked up in a special safe house where he would be mentally conditioned to do as his masters told him. The Anbu unit was made up of mostly exiled clan members. A side branch member of the Inuzuka family, she was exiled because she was incapable of bonding with any canines. She was however able to bond with a silver wolf in the Forest of Death. Once the clan leaders found out, she was welcomed back into the clan, but she was permanently banished when she turned her wolf partner into a cloak out of sheer rage. Her name was Yurufu Inuzuka. There was also a former Hyuga branch member. He was the only member of the Hyuga clan that died, and then came back to life. He had died on the day of the Kyuubi attack, but the Kyuubi's chakra somehow jump-started his system. His mark remained, but his eyes would never be able to wield the Byakugan, nor would he ever be able to pass on the Byakugan. His name was Hiroshi Hyuga. The next member was a young man. He was a member of the Nara, Yamanaka, and Akamichi families, but he was exiled from the clans when he broke several of their laws, selling clan pills to outsiders, setting fire to a Nara deer farm, and using his mind-based attacks to gain. His name was Chinomaru Akamichi Yamanaka Nara. The next member of the squad was a young swordsman. He had failed the academy 3 times, and he was not allowed another chance at the graduation exam. His ability to use chakra was destroyed when he was 12 by the Kyuubi attack as it fried his systems. He as well as his older brother had the same disease that their father had. His name is Kazuma Gecko. The final member of the team was a pale-skinned man. His eyes were a golden color with black snake slits. His nails were black and sharpened, his fangs laced with toxic venom. He had a slim but muscular texture to his body. His name was Hebamaru, the son of Orochimaru. The 5 had been recruited by the underground mercenary guild in Konoha. Each one had their reasons for joining. Yurufu loved to hunt exotic things, Hiroshi had nowhere to go, same with Chinomaru. Kazuma had grown tired of being compared to his brother, and Hebamaru was hated for being the snake Sanin's son. Hebamaru looked around when he saw an indent in the dirt. Everyone, come here. The group followed Hebamaru and landed around the indent. Yurufu, see if it's the sprat. Yurufu sniffed the ground and grinned. Yep, it's the kid all right. The group grinned, but Hebamaru kept a calm demeanor. Which way did he go? Yurufu sniffed the ground again. She tilted her head towards her left and smirked. Good, let's go. The group ran down the path Yurufu indicated, fully intent on capturing their target. With Naruto. Naruto was dead tired. He had spent the last week walking towards Nami no Kuni, had eaten berries and birds for food, and he had no source of water since he was on the sea coast. Naruto sighed as he continued to walk. Maybe this wasn't the smartest plan. I am only what, 6? How the hell am I supposed to take care of myself out here? Naruto continued walking. He stopped when he heard people jeering. He looked in the direction he heard it from and found a dock. He looked closer and saw there was a group of kids about his age surrounding a little boy. He ran over to find a sight that severely pissed him off. 3 boys about a year older than him were surrounding and picking on a kid at the age of 3. Naruto quickly ran across the bridge as he listened to their conversation. Because of your new father, our parents punished us. The clear ring leader said. Yeah, how's about we show you your place, brat? The boy pushed the little kid to the ground. Please, leave me alone. The kids laughed at the boy as the last kid pulled up a plank of wood. Sayonara, shit stain. The kid swung the plank and. Hey! The kids turned around to see a blonde-haired kid with blue eyes staring at them. Leave the kid alone. The kids laughed at the statement. And who's going to make us, you? Naruto smirked and ran at the boys while they were still trying to recover from laughing so hard. He grabbed the ring leader's hair and brought his head down, smashing his knee into his face. He then grabbed the plank out of the boy's hand and swung it right across the other two's face. The three tumbled down as Naruto slammed his foot on the ring leader's back. You were saying. The other two quickly got up and ran as fast as they could. Naruto quickly kicked the leader in the stomach as he too ran off. He then turned towards the young boy. He was quivering a bit as Naruto approached him. Hey kid, you alright? The boy was shocked at Naruto's kindness, but he answered. Why yes, mister. Naruto chuckled at the statement. Call me Naruto, what's your name? The boy seemed to perk up. Inari, thank you for helping me. Naruto helped Inari to his feet, but when Inari cringed, Naruto looked at his leg. It was injured and swollen. He doubted he would be walking for a few days. Okay kid, looks like either you will have to limp back home, or I will carry you. Naruto did a goofy grin. The second option is probably better. He scooped Inari up in his arms and began walking down the docks. So, which way is your house? Inari got a meek smile on his face as he answered. It's across the river. Naruto mentally face-faulted at that, but I know someone who can take us across. Naruto smiled as Inari directed him to where they could get across. The man who took them across brought them over free of charge. When Naruto asked why Inari was all the way out here, he said it was because the boy's parents offered to take him around while his Ka-chan had the day off. The two walked through town. Well, more so Naruto walked through town while Inari was on his back. They finally arrived at a nice little house on the shore. Naruto walked up to the door and used his foot to knock since his arms were being used to carry Inari. He only had to wait a few moments when the door opened to reveal a very beautiful woman with silky black hair and lovely brown eyes. Her eyes widened when she saw Inari. Inari, what happened? Naruto was about to explain when the woman grabbed his shirt and dragged him in. He followed the woman. She dragged him all the way to the living room and sat him on the couch while she tended to Inari's sprain. She cast a sharp glance at Naruto. What happened to my baby? Naruto immediately felt scared and began to sweat. He quickly explained what happened. When the woman glanced at Inari for confirmation, he quickly nodded. The woman gave a nervous smile at Naruto. Sorry, it's just that too many people pick on my little Inari, but why was he being attacked by those boys? I am going to have a talk with their mothers about this. Naruto smiled at the woman as the door opened. In walked a man with black spiky hair and an X-shaped scar on his chin. He seemed to wear fisherman's clothes. He looked at the scene in the living room and gave a stern look at the blonde. Have you been harassing my son? Naruto quickly retold the story and the man smiled. Good, I am sorry, but I don't like seeing my son get hurt. Anyways, why don't you stay over for dinner, unless of course you have to be somewhere. Naruto smiled. Sure, why not? The family sat down to a meal of fish and salad. Halfway through the meal an elderly man came in. His name was Tsunade and he was Inari's grandfather. Once he was told of how Naruto helped out Inari, he grabbed the boy in a headlock. Ha, you're alright kid. Hey, how's about ya come with me tomorrow? I can teach ya a bit of stuff while we're there. Naruto smiles at Tsunade. Sure, why not? I have nowhere to be for a couple years. The family was shocked by this. He didn't have to be anywhere for a couple years. What about his parents and family? Tsunade spoke up. But Naruto, won't your friends and family get lonely? Naruto dropped his smile at the mention of friends. He looked down before he let a sad smile cross his features. No, I have no friends, and my family is either dead or abandoned me. The table went silent when they heard the abandoned part. It's no big deal, but since I had to grow up fast, I never really had time for fun. Tsunade walked over to Naruto and wrapped him up in a hug. Oh you poor thing. Inari walked over and hugged his leg while Tsunade and Kaiza spoke to each other at the side. Kaiza, how about you and I teach the boy some things? If what he says is true, then he probably doesn't know about taking care of himself outside of wherever he lives. I'll teach him some building techniques and you teach him how to fish, maybe we can get Tsunade to teach him how to cook. Kaiza though for a minute, he would love to do this, but he also thought that perhaps they should just adopt him, but Naruto seemed to be like him, preferring to go far rather than tie himself anywhere. Tsunami was his only exception, he loved her just like he did his adopted son. Alright, we can ask him after dinner and see what we can teach him. The two agreed and went back to eating. Afterwards Naruto agreed to learning from them. The next day Tsunade brought Naruto with him to his building project. They were working on building a pipe system that would lead to a water filtration plant. Since they were on the ocean, the usual freshwater areas were actually salty, not the best thing to drink. While they were building, Tsunade showed Naruto the basic pipes. He also showed Naruto the filter system. Naruto soaked up all the information and made sure he remembered. After all, since he was going to be traveling a lot, he needed to learn this stuff. He even helped out Tsunade. Some of the pipes were too small for Tsunade to work on, so Naruto had to help out a bit. Naruto crawled through the pipes and tightened the bolts. When the day was done, they went home. Kaiza brought Naruto with him and showed him how to fish. After half an hour of fishing, Kaiza started a conversation. So Naruto, what was life back home? He turned to see Naruto's eyes gloss over as he got a sad expression on his face. Kaiza quirked an eyebrow at this. I would rather not talk about it, not yet anyways. Naruto went back to fishing, but Kaiza seemed insistent. You may feel better if you talk about it. Naruto turned towards Kaiza and spoke. No, I won't. Kaiza sighed, but he got a thoughtful expression on his features. What could have happened in the village to make it so Naruto does not even want to talk about it? He decided to ask him later and went back to fishing. He suddenly felt something jerk on his fishing pole. Kaiza began tugging on the line as he reeled in what was on the line. He kept letting off some slack as more and more splashes were shown. Naruto got up and helped Tsunade tug on the line. Finally, after half an hour of pulling, they finally reeled in a large swordfish. Once they brought it back to the house, they cut it up. Half of what was ate that night was eaten as sushi, the rest was stir-fired or grilled. Naruto had helped cook the dinner and had learned about the various spices. The same process repeated with Naruto taking part in wood chopping, shopping. He even babysat Inari for a little while. The two were playing in the park when the same three bullies came up to them with reinforcements. Hey brat, we still haven't paid you back for how your stepdad got us in trouble. This time we brought some friends. He indicated the 10 or so kids behind him. Naruto got up and got into a basic academy stance in front of Inari. You want him? You go through me. A large kid with a wooden plank ran forwards and kicked Naruto in the ribs. Love to. He turned his head towards the group of kids. Get him. The kids ran at Inari, who quickly curled into a ball as they pulled out a bunch of things to hit him with. Naruto tried to get up, but he was smacked across the back of his head by a wooden plank as he fell to the ground, blanking out as darkness claimed him. Mindscape. Naruto groggily opened his eyes to find himself in knee-deep water. He quickly shot up and looked around. He was in a sewer, but the walls were covered in roots. He looked around as he saw the wood begin to peel like paper. He began walking down the halls of the sewer. He kept taking what seemed like random directions, but he felt as if he was going the right way. Naruto went through another passage when he saw a large gate. It seemed like it was bolt shut and it was covered with hundreds of vines and roots. He looked closer to find an imprint of a hand. He placed his hand over it and it immediately glowed red. He watched as the doors cracked open as the tree roots suddenly tore themselves away from the door and pierced the ground behind him. He began to panic as a fierce wind picked up and pulled him in. He tried to make a grab for one of the roots, but he found himself unable to grab anything. He was finally pulled through the doorway as the gates closed with a slam. The wind stopped as he began to tumble. He pushed himself up and brushed himself off. He looked around as he saw the room light up with hundreds of seals wrapping around the room. He saw a pedestal with 2 palm prints on them and walked over. What the hell? What is going on? Naruto sighed as he placed his palms on the handprints. Oh well, the handprints glowed as his body was charged with a warm energy, it was calm and serene. Outside of Mindscape, Naruto suddenly awoke and looked up. The group of boys were about to wail a beating on Inari that would permanently injure him. He threw an open palm strike as a mass of tree roots ripped from the ground and wrapped around the boys. He then twisted his wrist as the roots went upwards, suspending the boys in the air. The large boy that knocked him down grabbed a plank of wood and threw it at Naruto. Naruto swung his arm as the board was sliced in half. The large boy was shocked until he looked at Naruto's hand, then he was terrified. Naruto's hand had turned into a blade that looked like it was made from paper. The blade quickly shifted and folded until it was a simple hand again. Naruto ran at the boy and kicked him in the stomach and then threw his arm out as a root came out of the ground and wrapped around the large boy. Naruto walked over to the bound 6-year-old and sneered in his face, "How do you like me now?" He added a bit of killing intent to make his point. Naruto walked back to the house with Inari that evening. It was the last evening he would be staying there, so he decided that he would cook dinner tonight. Inari and him were the only ones home since Kaiza went fishing, Tsunade was shopping, and Tsunade was still building that water filter. Naruto had gone to the nearby beach and began casting out his lines. He brought in about 3 salmon, 1 blowfish, and a lobster. He quickly grabbed the fish and ran back to the house. On his way he stopped when he saw a patch of herbs. He looked through them and found the perfect herbs for the dish he was planning. When he got home, Inari had already set the table and was getting out some cups. Naruto looked at the clock. He only had 3 hours to cook the meal before they all got home. Naruto quickly pulled up a stool and got to work. After 2.5 hours, Naruto and Inari had finished setting the table with time to spare. The two sat down together and watched the sunset. "Hey Naruto," Naruto turned to Inari, "why are you making dinner? Mommy makes really great food." Naruto smiled as he sighed. "Because I am leaving tomorrow." Inari grabbed Naruto's arm and clung to it. "No, don't leave, the bullies will come back, please don't leave." Naruto wrapped an arm around Inari's shoulders and answered. "Inari, if I fight all of your battles, what is going to happen if I die?" Inari got a defiant smile on his face. "You won't die, nobody can kill Naruto ni-san." Naruto smiled as he looked at the sunset. "I wish that were true, I truly wish that were true." Naruto perked up when he remembered something. He looked into his pocket and pulled out a kunai knife. He looked at it. It was a blunt kunai with a rusted tint to it. It was his favorite kunai. He had gotten it from his first sensei. She had helped him out so much. But a week later she was fired and replaced with a cruel teacher who would belittle him in front of everyone. Naruto placed the kunai in Inari's hand. "Inari, out of all my possessions, this is one of my most important. I am giving you this, and I promise I will return for it." Inari let a tear fall from his eye. "Promise?" Naruto smiled. "I promise." The two looked as the sun finally passed over the horizon. In Konoha, Fugaku Uchiha was growing irate. He had sent out those 5 Anbu over 2 weeks ago to find the last wielder of the Mokuden and they still had not come back. He was growing very annoyed. The Sandaime had approved all 3 of the contracts from the Kurama, Hyuga, and Uchiha clans. But at the moment it seemed like the other 2 clans would be able to fulfill the contract. None of the Uchiha parents were willing to give up their daughters to the heir of the Senju. It seemed that tensions between the 2 clans still existed. Fugaku was about to go through the documents, seeing if he could find some sort of loophole when he heard knocking on his office door. Enter. The door opened to reveal Funu Uchiha. She alone was the last remaining descendant of the original leader of the Uchiha clan. She was considered a monster amongst the clan. Same with both of her parents before their deaths. Funu, what are you doing here? Funu walked forwards. She was about 8 years old, and she already showed potential past Itachi, but because of her heritage she was never considered for early promotion. Fugaku-sama, I understand you are having difficulties in finding someone to wed the heir of the Senju. Fugaku narrowed his eyes. Yes, what does it concern you? Funu spoke and released an imposing aura. I wish to be the one offered to the Senju heir. Fugaku's eyes widened. Funu was extremely picky about who she hung out with, and now she was asking to be the one who married the heir of the Senju, the heir to her ancestor's rival. Why? Since you are a direct descendant of Madara, I expected you to hate the Senju more than anyone. Funu sighed and continued. It is for the exact reason that he is the heir of my ancestor's greatest enemy. I wish to see how powerful he is. Plus, our children would be incredibly powerful, thus giving the Uchiha clan both the Sharingan, the Mokudan, and whatever abilities he learns. Fugaku got a thoughtful expression on his face. She raised valid points, and since she was not the heiress of the clan, then all of their children would be directly controlled by the clan head, namely Itachi or Sasuke. He inwardly smiled. It looked like his coup would be easier than he thought. Very well. I will sign in your name and have it delivered to the Hokage Tower tomorrow. Funu bowed and left Fugaku's office. Fugaku ever noticed the smile on her face. Fugaku, you fool, you just secured that your clan will fall. For once I marry my Naruto-kun, I will leave this clan forever, taking the ultimate Sharingan with me. Funu's eyes turned red, the fully developed Sharingan in her eye, then it suddenly shifted into a symbol that looked like a biohazard sign. Hyuga Compound. The Hyuga Compound was locked up, serene, quiet, until Hiashi told Hinata she was now betrothed to Naruto. The elders were rolling on the floor clutching their ears when Hinata let loose a fangirl scream that would probably take down the Kyuubi itself. Hinata herself was jumping up and down on her father's stomach saying thank you over and over again. The branch members that were watching could barely contain their laughter, except for one Neji Hyuga. Hinata had a massive grin on her face as she was bouncing around, screaming how their wedding night would be one to remember, the flowers, the dress, the chance of a family. Hitomi, Hinata's mother, was standing off to the side with her newly born daughter Hanabi. She was smiling that her daughter got the man of her dreams, just like she got with her Hiashi-kun. Hiashi, he was starting to regret telling her before she turned genin. After all, that was when the two would get married. It was also the day after that Naruto would marry the heiress of the Kurama clan. He had no idea how Fugaku was going to get Naruto to marry someone of his clan. But he had to smile at the fact that his daughter was so happy. With Naruto, 2 weeks later. Naruto had left Nami no Kuni the day after. He had then headed straight towards Suna. He had stopped in 3 cities on the way. One where he had gambled a bit. He remembered that it was Tanzaku town or something like that. He had won over 200,000 ryo at an old gambling hut. The place after that became so popular that the business increased tenfold. Naruto had just arrived in a border town of Suna. He had rented a motel room in the middle-class district. He had quickly gone to bed the moment his body touched the mattress. The next day Naruto went to a nearby weapons shop where he hoped to buy some equipment. Naruto had not set 2 feet in the door when he saw someone enter an alley dragging a black sack. He was curious as to what was going on and walked towards the alley. He looked to find a red-haired teen wearing a sand-colored cloak and a scorpion mark on his armband. He looked closer to find that he had a Suna headband, but it had a slash mark through it. He looked closer and watched as the man opened the sack to reveal a dead body. Naruto watched in fascination as he inspected the body. He combed the body over with a calculating eye as he ran diagnostic jutsu after diagnostic jutsu over the body. He seemed to be pleased with the body as he smiled. He quickly packed up the bag. Naruto tried to get a closer look, crash, and knocked over a bucket of glass. The man turned around and saw Naruto. He quickly turned and ran as fast as he could. He looked behind to see that the man was slowly following him. Naruto ran even faster. He turned down an alley that had a bunch of trash cans. He ran to the end of the alley and it pointed two different ways. He turned to see the same man casually walking down the alley. Naruto panicked and ran left. He exited the alley into a large crowd of people. They were all dressed in masks. Some were Oni masks, tiger masks, hell there was a mask of every possible animal you could think of. Naruto turned and looked behind him. The man wasn't there. He breathed a sigh of relief. Excuse me, child. Naruto's blood turned cold when he heard that emotionless voice. Might I ask what you were doing watching me? Naruto swallowed as he kept saying the same mantra in his head. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Naruto was about to run when he felt a cold hand grasp his shoulder. He slowly turned around as his eyes widened when he saw who was behind him. It was the exact same man from the alley. Naruto did the only thing he could think of at that moment. Thump! Naruto fainted in the middle of the street. The man bent down and looked at Naruto. Such a strange child. Well, might as well take him with me. No sense leaving him in the middle of the street. The man picked him up and carried him in his arms as he began thinking. The child is clearly only 6 or 7 years old, and by the looks of it he is an orphan. I wonder. The man smiled to himself as he carried Naruto to his apartment in the red light district. Akasuna no Sasori may have finally found an apprentice. Naruto slowly opened his eyes. He groaned as he rubbed the sleep from his eyes. Damn, what happened to me? Naruto pushed himself up and fully opened his eyes. He was in a ratty room with holes in the walls. The ceiling looked like it had mold growing on it. He looked to find that there was a window. It was cracked, but it was still a window. He walked over to the window and looked at the curtains. They looked like they had been eaten by moths. Naruto looked around. Why the hell was he here? The last thing he remembered was that he was running away from some man who had a corpse in a bag. He accidentally caught the mont's attention and, oh shit. Naruto began to panic as he looked around, praying that he could somehow escape. He ran to the door and grabbed the handle as he turned it, to find that it was locked. He looked at the window and ran to it. He opened it up, sending a few shards of glass in random directions. He stuck his leg through the window and was about to jump out, when he saw how high up he was. The room was at least on the 3rd floor. No, make that 4th floor. Naruto went back in the room and looked around, trying to find some way to get out. He looked around, but he stopped in his tracks when he heard the doorknob begin to click. He looked around as the door opened. Akasuna no Sasori walked through the doorway carrying a black bag the size of a man. He looked around and spoke. Looks like he got away. He walked and put the bag on the bed, or did he? He slowly stepped around the room. If he did escape, how did he get away? And if he is still here, where is? He snapped his head to the left towards his closet. He twitched his fingers as the closet flew off its hinges, revealing Naruto cowering in the corner. He quickly ran to the window and was about to jump out of it when Sasori quickly shunshined behind Naruto, grabbing his shirt. Naruto struggled as he tried to get out of the mont's grip. EGH, let me go, I haven't done anything to you. Sasori threw Naruto on the bed right next to the bag. Naruto looked up in fear. Sasori walked forward and sat on the side of the bed. Naruto was confused. Why was the man not trying to kill him? Sasori let a dry chuckle escape his lips. Don't worry, child, I have no intention of hurting you. In fact, I brought you here because you seem to be in bad condition. A good thing too, it was supposed to get pretty cold this evening, and with what you are wearing you won't last long. Naruto looked down and had to agree. All he was wearing was a loose set of rags, a worn-out pair of socks, and only had a bag of crackers. He lost the rest of the food when he was jumped by a pair of kids 3 days ago. Naruto nervously smiled but let his face fall. Sasori saw this. I also saw a bit of potential in you, boy. Naruto looked up. You seem to have massive chakra reserves, enough that you will have a severe amount of trouble depleting them, but since you are young, and if taught to control it properly, you could be great. Naruto smiled at the mon's praise. Thus, I wish to take you as my apprentice. Naruto looked up in shock. Really? Sasori nodded his head. Yada, so when do we start? In Tanzaku town, Tsunade and Shizune were carrying a sack of loot. After Tsunade had lost all of their grocery money, Shizune had pushed her out of the way. In less than 10 minutes they had managed to get 10,000 ryo. Shizune chose to carry the bag. Tsunade however wanted to continue gambling. Come on Shizune, just 1,000 ryo. Shizune turned to her master. No. 500 ryo. No. 400 ryo. No. Tsunade-sama, you need to get out of this gambling habit of yours. We already have debts with several influential individuals. We don't need any more fees we have to pay when we don't even have enough to pay for the debts we have. Tsunade slumped her shoulders. The two had been traveling for the last 6 years. They were both registered as Konoha shinobi, but they chose to leave Konoha. The last time they were in Konoha was 6 years ago when Minato's child was about to be born. If they had not been there then Kushina would have died in childbirth. After the Kyuubi attacked she watched as the hospital was set ablaze. She ran into the hospital and found that almost everyone was affected by the Kyuubi's malevolent chakra, most of them going into shock. The next day she fled the village with Shizune when she was told that Kushina and her child was dead. The two entered their hotel room, Tsunade Senju. They looked to find a Konoha Anbu standing in the corner. Tsunade immediately got angry. What do you want? The Anbu stood at attention. Tsunade Senju, I have an S-class message that I must give to you. Alone, he turned towards Shizune indicating that she needed to leave the room. Shizune, said apprentice turned towards her master, I'll be fine, go. Shizune turned towards the door and began to walk out, but she turned her head towards the Anbu with a stern glare. Anything happens to Tsunade-sama, you die. She walked out of the room and closed the door.